So next we're going to take a look at some of the blur filters that are available. Alright, so before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and make a whole nother copy here. Let's turn this one off, and I'm going to hit Command J to make a copy of this layer, and then I'm going to go up here to filter. Now we have two different blur areas. So this blur area was the original blurs that were, and a lot have been added since the beginning of Photoshop, definitely. But there's stuff like Gaussian blur is really nice for skin. Box blur is literally like boxy blurs. Motion blur, radial blur. There's just so much going on here. I'm just going to click on a couple of these. So let's try motion blur out. So as you saw, there's 3 dots, so we did get an option pane here, but there's not very much going on, and you're going to see this a lot with some of the older filters. That doesn't mean that they don't have a great use, there's just not as many options as some of the newer filters. So something important to know about these types of windows is that whatever's right here is your preview. If you want to change it up, like let's say it was over here, all you got to do is come and click on where you want it to show in there. So I'm just going to click once, and now I'm seeing it here. And for a larger image, this is more helpful because then you can really see detail of what is going on. You can also hit the zoom, or you can back out of zooming if you want. So we can, zoom in or zoom out. So let's go ahead and take the slider up, and you can see that we have this blur going back and forth. Now if you play with your slider and nothing happens, it's probably because this preview box has been checked off. So make sure that's checked on to see what's going on. I'm going to take this down just a little bit. Alright, and so it's going, it's doing a motion blur going back and forth, and I know this visually and because of this little circle here. This, if you click and drag, you can tell it which way you want it to blur. So now it's blurring up and down, like diagonally from this way. If I want to change it this way, we can go that way. Pretty simple, pretty easy to play with. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel for now. And let's go back up here. So now let's take a look at the blur gallery. So the blur gallery is going to open a whole nother window. This is a little more advanced blurring techniques here. So we have things like field blur, iris blur, tilt shift, path blur, spin blur, so many different blurs. Let's click on one. Whichever one you click on, it's going to open in the same box, and you can actually change things up. So now we're here, we have these panels that have opened up, and right here I can open and close this area to see what I want to do. So we have a field blur, and you can change the amount of blur here. Now if you're noticing, while I'm using the slider, this little circle is also like filling up the more blur I'm adding. You can also click on here and pull it down to change the amount of blur if that works better for you. Now tilt shift blur, so let's go ahead and turn this one off, uncheck here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the tilt shift blur. This one is really popular for creating that tiny, they call it tiny town effect, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood effect, where if you have an image of a city and you want the area in front to be blurred and the area behind to be blurred and the middle to be nice and clear, this is exactly what you would use. Now that's usually created within a camera, but you can also, the effect is created in a camera, but you can fake it by using this, and you can also do things like turning it. So these two main lines, the solid lines, it's been a long day, sorry. The solid lines, the area between these two solid lines are going to be the area that's still nice and clear. So I can come up here, come on, there we go, and pull this up, and now this area is going to be the area that's clear. The dotted line is where basically from the solid line to the dotted line, there's a fade of blur happening, and then after the dotted or dashed line, there's a full blur happening. So you can really control where this blur is actually hitting in your image. There's also all kinds of stuff down here. Bokeh is like the background stuff going on. And so for this image, it's working out okay. It's taking these lighter areas and really popping them. You can pick the light range of the area that you want it to appear to. Now this might not be the best image to show you this, but you know, I'm just giving you a quick look at what is possible here. Okay, oh nice. So you can create this really like blurred out background type of feel. And yeah, I mean, so much path blur. Wow. So you can create like the feeling of moving lights with this. There's a spin blur. Now this one is really fun for images of cars. Like if you want to make it look like they were burning out, but not actually burning out. Like let's say you have a parked car. You can actually take this and move it over a tire and then make it look like that tire is spinning. Alright, so for all you guys who like to, guys and gals, don't matter, for all you folks who like to have your fast car photos, that could be a really fun addition. Alright, so that's the basics of the blur filters in Photoshop.